You've heard of Satan. You've heard stories of things that go bump in the night. You've seen the devil up close. His touch ignites your body, makes you feel things like never before. You burn for him the way he burns in hell. My name is Shannon, and unfortunately, Amanda can't join us today, but we both welcome you back to our author spotlight series in a world of bookish adventures. Today, we're so excited to have indie author Lexi Gray with us, and we will be diving into her book, Satan on Wheels, which, Lexi, you have a 4.52 Goodreads rating. So that is awesome.
Thank
Love
you.
that. Satan on Wheels is in the dark romance, BDSM, motorcycle club genre. So, welcome, Lexi, to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And congratulations on that Goodreads rating. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. I try really hard to appease my readers, so I hope it I hope it shows.
So, why don't we just start off with why don't you tell our authors a little bit about your book, Satan on Wheels?
Sure. So Satan on Wheels obviously is a dark romance. It's about a girl who has some serious hardships and she's kind of having to navigate through life. Well, when she finally feels like she's reached the top, everything comes crumbling back down. So again, she has to fight and grapple for her way in the world, only to come face to face with the devil himself. And he does not make her fight to the top easy, but but he somehow worms his way into her heart. So, for the best adventure possible, read Satan on Wheels.
Oh, I love it. And I love the fact you gave a little teaser in there. So that is really amazing because we don't want to give too many spoilers of the show. From what I've read, Satan on Wheels is a standalone book. Is this involving any other books that you write, or is this always going to be just kind of a standalone of itself book?
So, it is technically a standalone, but there is an interconnected book that I did eventually write. I was getting wonderful messages from all of my readers saying we need more. So it started off as a standalone, but now there's an interconnected book called Satan's Naughty List, and it takes a deep dive into Techie and Nomad and like their love for one another.
Oh, okay. All right. So our readers can read it on their own, but if they want to dive a little deeper, it sounds like you're giving them that opportunity.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we do want to say there are trigger warnings that go along with this book. We're not going to share them on here because I know some people don't like any type of spoilers. If you go check out this book, if you haven't read it before, if you are one that does look at trigger warnings, you may want to check it out. I know you have them listed on your Goodreads page, where you have the book Satan on Wheels. And I appreciate you doing that. I think that's really important that if we're writing some darker stories that we give our readers, that knowledge if they want it ahead of time.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know, like, I've jumped into books and I'm like, wow, I don't really have any triggers, but I'm like, I probably should have been forewarned before I got in this.
It really is. And some of the storyline, I know we've talked about it, is the little darker romance, and it kind of goes into some alternative lifestyle play and other things like that. So I got to ask what your Google search must look like with some of the topics that you bring up.
It's not very PG. I actually have always been very, we'll say, interested in the alternative lifestyle. And while I don't necessarily play myself, I do have a lot of different people that I talk to that we kind of deep dive about like what it means to them, like what the lifestyle really is about for them, because it's not just like a second personality. It's a whole lifestyle, and I try my best to encapsulate that and capture that in my books, because while she is a motorcycle baddie, she's also is deep dive submissive.
So, and I think that's interesting because a lot of times, you know, if you do a deep dive into some of the alternative lifestyle, there is that sort of blend of the strong character who likes to be able to submit in the bedroom or submit in different ways. So it sounds like you're kind of giving the readers that nice yin and yang of that.
Yes, definitely. And I'm all about pro dame fatale. But this book is not that, and she loves to just submit in the bedroom. And I think a lot of readers can compare to that. So,
Absolutely. And we will say you do. I'm kind of looking at some of your reviews. I'm seeing a 3 to 4 spice level, which personally I love. I love my spice in my books. So it sounds like our readers who kind of like to walk that line of the darker romance, the spice, the alternative lifestyle, the play, the submission, they're gonna just find their happy place with the Satan on Wheels.
yes, yes. And I keep telling myself that I'm going to write a book that's all smut, no plot, but I love plot. So, and you'll see lots of plot here in Satan on Wheels also.
And I think that's so important because, like you said, I love my smut. I love my smut in my books. But if I don't know the characters, if I don't deep dive into what's going on in their world, if I don't want to be a part of their world, if I don't root for them, then it's just smut. You know what I mean? So I
Exactly.
agree with you, and I love the fact that you put so much focus on your characters and their backstories while they're having their fun as well.
Yes, definitely.
So I know you have several characters, a couple of your main protagonists and stuff. Is there any one character that is your favorite or that you definitely connect with?
Amelia, she's the one that I connect with. And I think, I mean, it's also my debut novel. So I think I put a lot of myself into her and what I see myself as into her. And we go through very similar hardships. We both, go through very similar ways of life. And I think that Amelia would absolutely be, my girl, because that's who I trauma dumped into.
I think that's one of the things that intrigues me the most about the writing process is you can take your traumas, you can take your happy moments, you can take people that have hurt you or people that have lifted you up and give them places in your book to kind of work through those things. And so it kind of
Yes,
sounds like that was very similar for you.
it was. Yes, yeah.
So, what was the inspiration? I know you shared a little bit about the main female protagonist and how you saw a lot of yourself in her as you were creating her, but this whole world that you've created, what was the inspiration for it?
So my inspiration for Satan on Wheels kind of came all over the place. I'm a motorcycle babe. I've loved motorcycles since I was a kid. We didn't necessarily do the whole club ordeal, but I did grow up like in the bar scene. So there was, the writers, and they all kind of had their own little ways of living. And while my parents did a very poor attempt to keep us away from it, we still were, or at least me more so than my other siblings, but were very much exposed to it. And I grew up and I was like, wow, I really like that. But like, what do I do with that information? So
Right,
I just
exactly.
I just realized that I know a lot more than I thought I did. I know a lot more than a lot of other people do about like the actual motorcycle scene. And I was like, I'm just gonna write a motorcycle club. Like, I just I can connect with it. I can relate to it. It's not like I'm having to do a ton of research about it. And so that's kind of where that stemmed from, as far as like connecting the dots.
So you shared that you have another book that you have released. So how does that work? Like, have you ever had a moment like you're working on, let's say, Satan on Wheels, but maybe a new idea jumps in, or you write something, you're like, oh, that would be a really good spinoff or something. So how do you deal with multiple ideas that are jumping out at you while you're working on your book?
Oh, it's so hard when ideas pop up because I am not an author that can write multiple books at once. I have to sit and focus on my one book and then I can like move on to the next. I don't, I applaud authors who can multi-book. I'm not one of them. I give my time and dedication to the one book. But when I do have ideas and I feel like, oh, that would be so cool, I usually just jot the idea down for later. But again, usually when I get back to it, I'm like, ooh, not feeling it anymore. But sometimes I can go back and reread my work and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's where I got the inspiration from, and I'll jot it down. But like book two, which is like we'll call it like an interconnected standalone. Um, it didn't really stem off of any ideas. I just kind of got like a slew of messages asking for more. And I was like, I think the second book, if I remember correctly, is 3 years future. Because I can't, I'm not, I'm not a book two person. I'm not a multi-book. I can't do it. So I was like, if I give enough time between these two books, I don't have to worry about too much like back and forth information. Jotting the idea down and hoping for the best. That's how we get through to new ideas.
I I love it, and that makes sense. And I appreciate you sharing that because I'm sure there's several listeners that can definitely relate to feeling that way. So it's kind of nice to have that little, future idea list. I'll come back to it at some point. So I think that's
And hope for the
fantastic.
best.
So I always love to ask when we're doing these indie author spotlights, I always like to ask our authors for advice. What advice would you give if we have a listener who's like always wanted to write a book but wasn't sure how to get started? What is the advice that you would like to share?
Oh my gosh. So obviously I'm a baby author myself. But I wish I started earlier. I started writing when I was like 10 or 11, and I started on like good old Wattpad. And I struggled with outlets for myself when I realized that normal journaling wasn't working. So for others who are feeling this kind of stress and like don't don't worry about it. Just do what you think is going to work for you. If you're struggling and you're wanting to come up with something, just go for it. Don't worry about what the world is telling you. Don't worry about all the other criticisms that are coming your way. Just go for it. The worst that can happen is that there's not a lot of page reads, and all you have to do is just do some more public relations. Get on Instagram, get on Twitter. That's going to be your biggest struggle, at least from what I've learned, is just PR work. So write the damn book. Just do it.
I love it. I love it. And you're right. I mean, I think sometimes that PR point is really a tough. And I know, there's a big ARC reader community, podcasts like ourselves and, a lot on, book talk on TikTok and Instagram and such. So there's a lot of platforms out there, but you got to get out there and get involved. You know what I mean? You got to be part of the process. So I think that's
Exactly.
fantastic. Why don't you let our listeners know where can they find your books? Where can they find Satan on Wheels?
Satan on Wheels can be found on Amazon, which is on Kindle Unlimited also. Or you can find it on authorlexigray.com. It's Lexi and then Gray, Gray. I am currently in a bit of a power struggle with publishing right now. So Amazon's the only place you can get it for now. But as soon as I get some additional hoorah from all of these other publishers, I'll definitely be sure to update all my feeds.
Excellent. And for those of you that are watching and listening to this on YouTube, you are seeing all of Lexi's sites in front of you. If you are listening to us on Spotify, either hop over to YouTube or check out our social media thread for those locations. And while we're there, why don't you let us know their social media sites? Where can authors connect with you?
Oh my gosh. So you can connect with me through my website. There's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and I make it super easy. All of my handles are author Lexi Gray. Super simple. You can find me on all of them. I just recently joined X, previously known as Twitter. So you can find me on Threads. You can find me just about anywhere now.
Excellent. And again, we're showing to those on our YouTube channel, so you can go follow Lexi. And so, what is to come? We know we have our awesome book, Satan on Wheels, we're talking about today. We have the advanced book of the 3 years in the future. Anything else in the pipeline that you want to share? Any little secrets you want to let loose?
Yes. So I am currently in the ARC process for another motorcycle club book called Leather Dreams. I have lots of books lined up. Well, lots. I have like three, I think, lined up. That's a lot for me. Lined up for this year. I am writing currently. I'm in book 2 of the Sweetheart duology. So for anybody who followed along for the Valentine's novella, I left the book 1 on a huge cliffhanger. Huge cliffhanger. And I heard about it. So I'm trying to write that as quickly as possible to appease the readers. But book 2 is coming out soon. I have Leather Dreams coming out before that. I've got a Halloween one called Crimson Catacombs. It's going to be a really dark horror BDSM stalker. I don't know if it's going to be motorcycle club or not yet. That is to be determined. And then I'll have a holiday novella coming out for the Christmassy season. So lots of good works coming up.
You definitely have lots of good work, and you definitely will need to keep in touch with us as you are getting ready for some of these launch parties coming up, because we would love to be a part of that and help promote you as some of these new books are getting ready to be released.
Absolutely, for sure.
Excellent. Well, Lexi, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. We're so thrilled. And again, her book, Satan on Wheels, is now available Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. Please definitely go check that out, as well as Lexi's social media sites.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And as always, you guys have a wonderful day and you keep your busy schedule as clear as possible because nobody likes being busy.
Exactly. I think we all need a vacation.
Amen.
And we want to thank all of you for being with us again today. Next week, we will be talking to author Sarah Hurst and her book, Finding Our Peace, which is the last book in the Love and Survival series. Until then, read more books and then go explore. Bye, everyone.
Bye.